Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining in for another video. Today I would like to kind of connect the dots. I know some of you might be a little bit confused on what's going on with the car. I apologize, I haven't really given you an update on what happened with the car. So today that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to connect the dots from the time since I've tuned the car to where the car is currently right now. So to continue, let's rewind it a little back. For my very first video, I did the Unitronic install. So from there, we did go ahead and install the DBV2 3.5 inch true downpipe. And after I did that, I thought that was it with the bolt-on mods. I was ready to go hit the dyno and see what kind of power the car would make. So during this time, I was tuned already with Unitronic Stage 2. And at the same time I had a JB4 which I held on to, and at this point I decided to keep it and use it as a stack tune. So I was working with the George over at Burger Motorsports, and I sent him a few logs with the Unitronic Stage 2 tune, and he gave me some settings to use for a stack tune. Now we started adding boost from about 3000 RPMs just till right before redline. At first we started adding 1 PSI throughout that rev range, and once we started doing a few logs, we fine-tuned it, and I think the peak boost with the JB4 on top was about 4 pounds of boost on top. So overall I felt a really big difference in like the response and the torque I felt, and at this point I was overall pretty happy how the car felt and performed. So at this point, I took it to dyno, and we did a few dyno runs. I'm going to share some footage with you guys right now. So we did a few dyno runs, run with the JB4 on top. So I'll just show you the videos for that. On top of that, I will be showing you guys the dyno chart for it. For the dyno chart here, you can see the top number figure here, 354 wheel horsepower and 358 wheel torque. That is with the Unitronic Stage 2 alone, with all my bolt-on mods. So overall that's already pretty impressive already. It's a pretty quick car and it's a really fun daily driver. Now as you can see with the JB4 on top on the chart here, what we got was 368 wheel horsepower and basically 368 wheel torque, so 368 all in all. So some might think that it's not a huge horsepower gain for the risk you take, because a lot of people, you know, they told me I was brave that I was doing a stack tune. However, it's not just about the peak numbers. If you look, you can see through the graphs that there is quite a huge jump from the power underneath the curve comparing both of them. At some points in the chart, it's even as big as 40 wheel horsepower difference. So overall for drivability, I think the Unitronic Stage 2 with the JB4 stack was a fantastic setup. It would probably be more than enough power for most people. And now that I knew horsepower where the car stood, I wanted to take it to the track and take it to the drag strip and see what kind of quarter mile times I did. So this is where it takes us to our next chapter, where issues started to happen. I read about people running an E85 mix with pump gas. So depending on the ratio, sometimes it'd be like an E30 blend or whatnot. So what I did, I went to grab some E85. At the time, I did 10 liters of E85 and just filled the rest up with 94 octane. So you know what, personally, I should have done more research. My understanding of E85 was that it was just basically like a race fuel alternative that would bump up your octane. It has two main benefits. So one being higher in octane, and second being the cooling factor of it. So as you guys might already know, more dense air, colder air, more power. So a lot of people see a lot of great results when they mix an E85. So that's what I opted to do before I went to the track. I went to throw in some E85, and I thought it would just boost my octane and I would, have some clean runs, and that'd be that. But to be honest, guys, that's one of the biggest rookie mistakes when it comes to boosted cars. Anything you guys do, my biggest advice, anything you add, anything you put in for the fuel, you have to do your research and know how it would affect the car. Obviously there's pros, but there's a lot of cons, and there's a lot of precautions you need to take. So me, I was, in my, retrospect, I was very negligent of, and ignorant of all that. I just put in some E85 and ran it and just sent it at the drag strip. So here's a quick video. You've probably already seen it in my intro, but I was running my brother-in-law's stage 2 STI. That night I did 3 runs, and I just wanted to have a low 12 second car. And to my surprise, the very first run I pulled an 11.8, which I was really happy about. Anyhow, that night I only got to do 3 runs, and my last run is when something didn't feel right. Midway through the run, the engine felt really strange, and I had a sudden loss of power. I still managed to run a 12.2, which is actually still really good, but I knew something wasn't right with the car, so I pulled the car over. As you can guess, I got a lot of malfunction lights come up. I used the JB4 to pull the codes, but they were very, it didn't translate what the codes were exactly, so I ended up trying to pull the codes with my Unitronic cable, and a lot of it came up as O2 sensor bank, error. What else was there? Transmission error. Basically, it was just like an array of errors. So I was going on vacation the next day, so I didn't have enough time to sort everything out before I left. So I just limped the car back home, and I figured I would take care of everything when I came back from vacation. Anyhow, after vacation, the first thing I wanted to sort out was, I figured maybe I flooded a plug, or, I fouled a plug. So the first thing I did was I changed the spark plugs. I pulled the spark plugs, and I'll show a photo here, guys, of what it looked like. But basically, one of the spark plugs, as you can see, there's a lot of, as you can see, there's a lot of heat into them. The actual rod, they're all like mostly are really dark. One is completely black, and there was oil in one of them. As you can see, it's one on the very right. So I changed the plugs, and it helped a little bit, but there was a lot of drivability issues. So at this point I thought, you know what, screw it, I'm just gonna take it to a shop, get it diagnosed. And lo and behold, they did a compression check, and that same plug that I pulled with the oil ended up being a dead cylinder. So I had 0 psi pressure in that So you know what, all in all guys, what this resulted into was basically a whole motor overhaul. I had to go and rebuild the engine. Um, Basically it was came down to either rings or ring landings, and oil was just um, going past the piston, and as you can see, that's why there was oil on the spark plug. So overall guys, very expensive lesson to learn. You know what, and that's why I'm just trying to share with you guys, anything you guys do to your car, anything you guys add, anything you put into it, please do your due diligence, do your research, know the precautions, know what you need to look out for to make sure the car is running safely and reliably, unless you just want to send it. So guys, I just wanted to share with you some of the internals that we basically recovered from the engine after it was cracked open, and I replaced all the internals. So here's obviously the piston, the rod. This is a sprocket, which I believe was, I don't know exactly where it was from, but I remember we had to replace this because it would interfere with timing, and it basically wasn't safe for the engine. Basically guys, I already explained the benefits of the E85. Now, some of the things that I didn't know at the time. So E85, you need to flow about 35% more 85 volume compared to regular gasoline in order to achieve complete combustion. So what that means is, now in my case, I put 10 liters and then fill the tank up with 94, and I think maybe that was just way too much 85 in the fuel system. So basically my fuel system could not flow as much volume needed to have the correct air-fuel ratio, which ended up in the air-fuel mixture being extremely lean, and when it's lean it becomes extremely hot. So I think that therein was where my problem lied. You know, it's out of sheer stupidity, you know, it's just my own ignorance, and got to pay the price for it, right? So as you can see, for you guys that don't know or haven't seen engine internals, these are the rods. These are the pistons, piston rings on the actual piston. Take a quick look. Piston heads should not be this color. Look at how charred this is. As you can see, it was extremely hot, was running extremely lean, and it was just overall not good for the engine. So the one that was dead, with the dead cylinder I had, according to the shop, was cylinder 4, which I believe this is the piston for it. So as you can see, extremely charred, and if we get a closer look, there you can see that the piston ring is actually cracked. There's actually like a chunk missing out of here. I don't know exactly where it went. Maybe I'll show you another one. It is not supposed to have that groove. It's supposed to be a very flat surface all around. So basically I had no compression in there because the seal was basically gone, and oil was able to freely flow through it, no problems. And yeah, so no compression, car ran like crap. And I'll link a photo of the cylinder sleeve for this cylinder 4. You can see here that there was some light gouging and scrapes along the side. So with an engine rebuild, you have to get that fixed. So if they were deep enough, that means I'd have to order slightly larger pistons and bore out the hole to meet that need. In my case, luckily, I was able to just do a crosshatch and hone, and then drop in, you know, the replacement forged internals, which were the exact same size, 82.5 millimeter. This sprocket here had to be replaced because let's see if I can try to find this here, but there is a slight like kind of like a ground. Let's use some of the teeth here are basically just like they're flat. Let's see if I can get the light here. So if you see that, basically that would result in it skipping timing, what I was told. eventually it would get worse and worse. So this had to be removed and replaced. So with now all the engine internals being forged, they will stand up to a lot more abuse. For the most part, my bottom end is built and it should be able to take the new power, no problems. So you can see, just to go over through all of them, you can see every piston is just charred. So guys, like I said, just make sure you know what you're putting into your car, you know what you're putting on, and know the precautions, guys. Overall, that's where the car is sitting right now, guys. So basically where I'm at, the car is almost being it's almost completed. The motor's back in, car's running. Just a few more things need to get done. I got my multiple port injection in, as you saw from my unboxing video. I am awaiting a fuel pump to be put in, and then we just gotta tune it. Everything is almost back in order. There might be a few more things in the future, you know, maybe a new intake setup, a new exhaust setup, but first and foremost, I just want to get the car back and tuned and running, and just enjoy the car for what it is. So guys, stay tuned. Thanks for following me on this journey so far. It's been a tough lesson to learn and a very expensive lesson, but at the end of the day, you know they say you pay to play, right? So hopefully getting the car back for next month or so, and I'll have more updated videos about the car and how it runs, and maybe in the next video I'll have a quick breakdown of the engine rebuild, you know, all the costs involved if you are in an unfortunate situation that I found myself in, or if you just want to build a motor, guys. I'm just going to give you a quick breakdown of my parts that I got, the cost of each, and what this whole project has costed me, just so you guys get a quick idea. Guys, if you like what you see, again, you know, subscribe, you know, make a comment if you got any questions, follow me on Instagram, ChampagneS3, and thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you guys on the next one.